As we turn our minds to the Lord's Supper, I want you to think about just something for just a moment. Have you ever had something, maybe it was an event, that you were looking forward to so much that there was just this great anticipation? That every day leading up to it, there was this excitement that you had within you. And then the day comes, and it's exactly what you said. It's over the top of what you were anticipating. But then the event is gone. And there's almost a sadness that is there. And you sort of say, now what? That there's almost a letdown that comes because you don't have anything to look forward to now. What am I going to do now? I wonder if Easter is like that for some people. That there's a looking forward to it. I don't know, maybe someone is like, oh, hey, I'm going to go get a new outfit, and I'm looking forward to that, and then I'm planning to go to church, one of the couple of times throughout my year. And then you're there at the service, and it's great. You're praising God on the day that Jesus was resurrected. But then a week goes by. Now what? Maybe you go back into your normal routine because, well, what do I have to look forward to? That shows us something about hope. And I want us to think about that for just a moment this morning. We are hope-based beings. And by that I mean how we live now is completely determined by what we believe about the future. Hope, especially biblical hope, is a life-changing certainty about something that has not happened yet, but you know that it will. Let me give you just an example. I want you to imagine for just a moment that you are a soldier on a battlefield. And the battle that you are engaged in, things have turned such that it looks very bleak for you right now. Defeat seems imminent. Your life is in peril. And then you get word that in 3 minutes, reinforcements are coming. You don't see them yet. They haven't engaged the enemy yet. But something seems to change inside you. Your body feels stronger. Your heart is filled with courage because you know the reinforcements are coming. What's happened? What's the anticipation? The knowledge of the future is changing you. Your connection to the future impacts your present. You see, what we believe about our future is the main factor in how we process experiences and how we handle circumstances in the present right now. We could say that we are shaped by our hope. Without hope, difficult circumstances, difficult events come into our life, and we may begin to see them as these are things that weigh us down, so much so that maybe someone gets to the point they say, what's the use in living? That's what happens without hope. But with hope, the same situations happen, but you see a way through. You see a way to overcome because you're looking to something better. I'll give you another example. Say two people are working the same job. It is a job that is 80 hours a week. It is a grueling environment. It's a harsh environment. And you're told if you work this job for 6 months, you will receive $10,000. Two people working the same job. But one of them is told, at the end of that 6 months, you will receive a $1 million promotion and you will get out of all of this harsh environment. How will those two people work through those 6 months? I would imagine the one who knows nothing about what the future may hold might get disgruntled, might get to the point where they're like, this isn't worth it, and they quit 2 months into it. But that other person who has the knowledge about the future says, you know what, I can handle this. I can get through this because I know what lies ahead. See, hope changes everything. This past week, I've been thinking a lot about Peter. Been thinking about Peter and that Saturday after the crucifixion. He's denied Jesus 3 times, his Messiah. And at some point in time, he finds out, because he's not there at the cross, he finds out that Jesus has died. What hope does Peter have in that moment? Or the next morning, that Sunday morning, when the women come from the tomb, telling the disciples and Peter that Jesus has risen and they have seen him. We're told the disciples didn't even believe them. And so Peter and John, they run to the tomb. They see the open tomb, the burial wrappings, and they leave marveling. And at some point during that day, Jesus appears specifically to Peter. And then that evening, he appears to the disciples in that room. But Thomas isn't there. So another week goes by. And you can imagine the disciples, they've been talking to Thomas all this week. Thomas, we've seen him. He's alive. Thomas says, you know what? Unless I see him, unless I touch him, unless I put my fingers in his side, I will not believe. So the end of that week comes around. And Jesus appears to all the disciples, including Thomas. What would Peter be thinking at that moment? Because if we look into the scriptures, we're told in John 21, after those things, Peter goes back to fishing. We're not very clear. I would love more clarity on that. I'd love to ask John, why did you put this in here? Because we're not told. Maybe they needed money. Up to this point, it seems like there's a group of women and others who are helping support this ministry when Jesus is alive. But it seems like now, maybe it's just unclear. Maybe they need money. And so Peter goes back to what he knows, and he says, I'm going fishing. And he takes several of the disciples go with him. But at best, it seems uncertain. They're not sure what to do. And Jesus comes and he appears to them that morning on the Sea of Galilee. He calls out to them and he says, do you have any fish? And they say, no. He says, cast your nets on the right side. And they begin to pull in a catch, as John records, 153 fish. And the nets aren't torn. Jesus makes breakfast for them. And there he asks Peter 3 questions. Peter, do you love me? Jesus, in these three questions, is giving Peter a charge. Tend my sheep. Something changes in Peter from that moment to the day of Pentecost. He's not the same man that he was that Saturday evening after the events of the cross. He's not the same one he was as he was there at the tomb when it was empty on that Sunday morning. He's different. Something changes in Peter. It's hope. He grasped living hope. Peter would write in 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 3, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ." There he is, he's offering worship. Blessed be God. Why? He tells us, who according to his great mercy has caused us to be born again to a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. Because of Jesus' resurrection from the dead, what Peter believed about his future changed. And what he believed about his future then changed his present, how he lived and how he acted. Just notice what he does on the day of Pentecost. He's not cowering anymore. He's out there saying, "You're the one who put Jesus to death." Bold. What changed? It's the living hope. That's our living hope. You see, the resurrection of Jesus isn't something that we look at and say, now what? It is the hope that defines everything that we are. That because God raised Jesus from the dead, we believe that our future will be different. And because of that future, that impacts how we live now in the present. You know, if you want the very best picture of your future, all you have to do is look to the risen Jesus. Someone say, well, why? Because the Bible tells us that he is the firstborn from the dead. First, meaning there's more to come. And those who come after him will be just like him. We will be raised from the dead, never to be under death's power again. And this is our believed in future that sets the course for how we live in the here and now. In this supper, we proclaim the Lord's death until he comes. You know what that means? It means that we believe he is alive right now. It means that we believe that he is ruling as king right now. The resurrection of Jesus isn't something that we anticipate once a year. And after it passes, we say, what now? We have a living hope that enables us to now say, what's next? Because God is with us. And we look forward to the day when our certain future becomes our present reality. Let our minds think upon these things as we join together in the supper.